Welcome to Arena MK, where Europe and the USA are battling it out for one of the greatest prizes in Team Tenpin, the Weber Cup. With 12 matches played, Europe know they have a fight on their hands.
Team USA always seem to do better than Team Europe in Baker matches. But an open frame has more or less gifted this first Baker match to Team Europe. Oh, Barret's got that ball working, that wraps it up. Troup doesn't look like he's going to make any mistakes at the moment. He is absolutely dialed on. Well, we're having our first nail biter pretty early here, aren't we? Oh my goodness, he's got it. But with a huge slice of luck.
USA won and Europe won.
Looking for a magnificent 7. Well, what can you do about this?
Just crazy scores.
It really is. Oh, it's gone, it's gone. It thought about it, it was slow motion and it went. And that could be the pin that secures the win. It was close to perfection from Anthony Simonsen.
He hasn't quite worked the lane out just yet.
Oh, what he can't do is that. Now that's a mental mistake. And there we go. That's over right there, and a look of absolute horror on the face of Martin Larsson. And it's been an easy night for Chris Barnes, who has helped steer the United States to 3 straight victories in singles competition. This is starting to unravel for Team Europe at the moment. Would you believe this?
Stu can't buy a strike. Well, it's 9 frames in a row without a strike. And there's the spare, the 2 and the 10 from Jones, just showing off. It's much too much for Stu Williams.
And America continue to just roll along here. They have complete control of the scoreboard. Right now, the score looking very healthy for a team that hasn't won this competition in 5 years. And it is 5 in a row. Look at that. That is almost defying the laws of physics, that. Oh, now change again.
And he just hates that.
What a huge morale booster this could be for Team Europe. Oh, he's done enough to win the point for Team Europe. And he's nailed it. He's done it. What a match. They started with a win, Team Europe. They finished with a win.
An outstanding opening session from the Americans saw them win 5 of the 7 matches to carry a 3-point lead into day 2 of this transatlantic tussle.
Pressure's on, no question about that. And at least he started off here with a perfect 10, and we'll be looking for a lot more of those, as will Team Europe. Just what can he add to it? Is it going to be a 269 to finish? Yes, it is. Normal service resumed then for Team USA there. And the Americans straight back down to business. The Troup-Simonsen partnership will look to go to work and carry on this red-hot American streak. It's not must-win time for Europe, but they can't allow this gap to grow any bigger, can they?
Go, baby. We're here to play this year. We're here to play. Let's go.
It's another one to forget, Team Europe. American dominance continues in the early going. And right now, the Americans are looking unstoppable.
And that will do nicely, thank you.
Well, he's in danger of making his 278 yesterday. Looked like a low score. Not a crisis yet, but getting close to it. And this gap is growing alarmingly wide. A strike here from Williams puts Europe in good shape. And he's got the messenger to kick out that 10. Oh, you don't want to be doing that against Stu Williams. You might end up in the car park.
I can tell you if he strikes here, he'll light up this arena.
He's got it. He's done it. Is that a turning point in this year's Weber Cup? Oh, that was a thriller.
Big ball. big frame. All or nothing.
Must take all 10 just to keep this alive. And he's left the corner 10. Well, 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 what a big win that is. And I tell you, Europe are clinging on by their fingernails here.
Two huge wins for Team Europe may have stemmed the tide of American victories, but the overall score is beginning to look a little worrying for the reigning champions. With 2 matches still to play in this session, can they narrow the deficit further, or can the US start to believe?
You're there with one of your really good friends, in our case, because we travel all the time. We room together all the time when we go to the States and other places around the world. So we know each other's games really well, and we're more than happy to help out the other guy, rely on the other guy, strike and celebrate with the other guys as well. And that's, I think, what makes us such a good team.
Yeah, I definitely like doubles matches. One of my PBA titles is a doubles, so that kind of really works in my favor a little bit. And I feel like all 4 of the Americans, we can all throw 5 strikes apiece. And for that, that's all we need for a 300 game. So.
It's 1 point for the win with 19 needed to lift the trophy. The matches are played over 10 frames, and your commentators for this one are Guy Kaminsky and Nick Halling.
Well, I wonder if Chris Barnes, the American skipper, is wishing that he could bring on a sub right now, because having Tommy Jones in the lineup in 3 straight matches seemed like a good idea on paper, but he was part of the doubles match that got edged by a single pin. Now he's lost that heartbreaker, and Guy Kaminsky, you have to wonder, what kind of shape is he in mentally and emotionally right now, Jones?
I was down there lane side, and I must say the disappointment was written all over his face, I'm afraid. As we said, someone had to lose that game, I'm afraid. A double roll-off. I think the first time in the history of Weber Cup, a double roll-off.
Well, it's something he's going to have to shrug off, but he has been on the losing end both times, and both by the narrowest margins. A double roll-off and a single pin. And now he's just got to shrug that off and get back in business.
Yeah, so the thing is now, will Tommy stick with the urethane, or will he go to a reactive ball and move his feet quite a bit deeper in the lane? It'll be interesting to watch that.
It's the first time all weekend the Americans have had to ask some questions and make some adjustments and feel a little bit of pressure, and it is still just a little bit of pressure. They've got a healthy lead, but there has been a discernible momentum shift over the last hour or so. Now, if the Europeans can come up with a big win here, and they've got Svensson involved, of course, with Barret, I mean, that is 2 rock-solid performers there. If they can then close it out with a Svensson win against Simonsen, 6-8 is a very, very different-looking scoreline.
Absolutely, and these are 2 of Europe's best players here this weekend, the guys that have settled in the quickest. So if you'd asked, from a European point of view, who do you want out there? You'd definitely say you want to have Jesper and Dom out there based on their performances so far. And again, from the American point of view, Carl's also been a standout player, but what we're not going to know is what mental state is Tommy in now to bowl this match.
Well, I think everything focuses on Tommy Jones right here, because he has got to be a little bit mentally drained after 2 hard, mentally tough matches, and he's lost them both.
Yeah, because if he had won them both, you definitely want him playing this game. But now that we know that he hasn't won it, I've got to tell you, I think for me, I'd prefer to have a timeout.
You know, if Chris Barnes had the option of subbing him out now and bringing someone else in, do you think he'd do that?
Yeah, I'd say for all my money, he would take Tommy out just to give him a respite. It's just been 2 super intense matches, and that drains you, particularly when you're on the losing end of it.
But Barnes does not have that option. That is not in the rules. You put your lineup in, and that's it. It sticks. So, 3 in a row for Tommy Jones, and he's lost the first 2 in heartbreaking circumstances as well. So really, all attention, all eyes, all focus will be on Tommy Jones in this doubles match. How will he cope? How will he respond? Troup, we know, as you say, it's just been plain sailing for Kyle Troup.
Yeah, and what happens, obviously, with how it lines up. Just you end up playing quite often the same person, just based on the tactics. And the last thing you want to do is turn into someone's bunny, you know, knowing that every time you play that guy, you're losing a point, and that can be the worst part of it. So Tommy will be desperate to win this point. And what can happen? You can try too hard, and that, you know, and then you just compound the problem, unfortunately.
And in doubles, if you're not striking, you are leaving your partner shooting at single pins. So it's a big match, this, for Team USA. And they make a shocker of a start, and it's Kyle Troup that's missed the pocket.
So what's interesting to note here is that Kyle's stuck with the urethane ball, which he used very successfully in game 1. But this is game 3 now. These lanes haven't been re-oiled, so I don't know if the urethane works that well. And remember, Simonsen actually changed early in the game to a reactive ball, move left, and that was really the answer. So it'll be interesting to see, will he persevere, Kyle persevere with the urethane, or will he make a big move left and try hook it a bit more?
There is not a whole lot of dialogue going on down there at the moment.
I think everybody's trying to give TJ a wide berth, just to give him a moment to kind of console himself.
And that is exactly what the Europeans had to come up with. And Dom Barret, who is so tough mentally, has thrown the perfect 10 right there.
Yeah, riding the crest of the wave for Dom now. Another great shot. I mean, I would think he thinks he got out of jail, you know, that last game, with Tommy having 2 chances to shut him out.
The Americans have had chances in both of those 2 losses, narrow as they were. Now Troup has got to shrug off that earlier miss, and he's got away with one there. I mean, that was not a good shot at all, and it could so easily have been a split. But Kyle Troup's offline right now. Now, this is serious concerns for the Americans.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything about how he's bowling. I think he's just not used to seeing his bowling ball hook that much. When the lane was fresh, they would have hit the pocket absolutely perfectly. But because all the traffic on the lane, that ball's hooking more than he expected. So all that's happening is that he's not getting the reaction that he's seen in game 1 and 2 when he's played early on. But this game 3 is always quite tricky, and I think the play, move left, change the ball.
Well, Tommy Jones has just been bowling up single pins thus far. And this, we talked about the oil pattern and the lane and the condition. Because these two just try and G each other up. This is where having a left-hander to throw into the mix is a big advantage.
Yeah, but unfortunately he's been really battling with that 7-pin.
And his approach has not always been clean. Well, that's not the first time we've seen him not entirely happy at the approach.
We saw Tommy do that in the match against Dom, and that and what's nice to see, that's good experience there, because sometimes people just kind of go through with a shot, and then these guys, good thing to come back, reset yourself, take your time.
Well, a couple of times he's delivered and looked down at his feet immediately. That time he pulled up. Well, he seems happy enough there. What does he get on the back end of that? Takes all 10. It's a double for Team Europe.
And also, Jesper here changing balls from his other games where he had that 7-pin, couldn't get the 7-pin out. He's changed balls, so let's see if that changes his luck. But that was a bit of a light hit. That light hit's really struck well this weekend.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup. America leading 8-4 in the overall standings, but trailing by 23 pins in this doubles match. Nick Halling and Guy Kaminsky pick up the action.
Yeah, so what Carl Winter did there, he moved his feet a little bit inside to try to get a bit more oil and stuck with the ball. That's why these two-handers have so much power with that high rev rate that they don't have to worry too much about changing to aggressive balls. And for Domsey now, it's just more of the same.
He's left the corner 10.
Yeah, again, the advantage of the right-hander, left-hander. The 10-pin's a much easier spare for Jesper than the 7-pin.
Yes, this should be automatic.
Although we have seen 3 missed spares this weekend. Very unusual. All right, there we go. Nicely done by Jesper there.
Yeah, you talk about those 3 missed spares this weekend. That might be the entire allocation. You can't miss those guys in a crowd, can you? You got a shirt like that?
I think if the lights went out, we still would see them, which is good.
Really?
Yeah, big support for the Europeans here, and particularly from Sweden. Guys have some travelling fans. Guys get dressed up. It really creates a great atmosphere down here.
So for the first time, Tommy Jones with a full rack to aim at. And it, like, what's the problem?
I know what he would give to have had that strike 5 minutes ago.
Mm.
And that's what tension does. That's what the pressure brings. It finds the cracks and it slowly but surely gets in your mind. So he'll be chuffed to get a strike there. And you better believe the Europeans during the weekend will remind him numerous times about how he could have won the point and he didn't take the chance.
Well, as we get back on strike with Team Europe, it'll be interesting to see how much sledging does go on with Tommy Jones if he ends up on the losing side 3 matches in a row without ever really playing a bad shot.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's all been quite friendly and to start, but as the pressure mounts and we get closer to the finish line, you can definitely see an increase in the chirping.
Well, when you're 8-2 down, you stop being friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dom was very serious in his last game. Real captain's innings from him there.
Let's see if Troup can stay on the zone.
And that's
No,
the
he
risk
doesn't.
right there. That's the risk you run with the urethane ball and you move too deep inside. The tenpin becomes very difficult to kick out.
And there it is. On another day it could have gone, but the messenger didn't want to know. And this one is starting to slip away from the Americans. It's yet another spare ball for Tommy Jones.
Yeah, nicely done, cleaned it up. And you can hear the crowd really getting involved now, Nick. I mean, they're getting much more vocal. This is really helping the Europeans.
Well, it's amazing if the Europeans can wrap this one up, and then if Svensson in his singles match against Simonsen can also get the win, not impossible, and things will be very different. Wasn't that long ago you were making plans for Sunday evening, Guy Kaminski. You might have to tear those plans up.
Absolutely, don't engrave the trophy just yet.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that one just didn't hook. I think he liked where he had it, but he expected it to hook more than that. I wonder he might have thrown that just a bit harder than the previous one.
Barret takes care of business. But that puts the Americans back within touching distance. Yeah, and Svensson's taking responsibility for that one.
Yeah, it's still a big difference between getting 8 spare and 9 spare, it feels like. But now they have an 8 spare too, so yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, the boys talking about the count there, the scoring system, the World Bowling Tour scoring system, the difference between an 8 spare and a 9 spare.
Closer to it.
Yeah, big shot here for Carl.
Yeah, really. That's a terrific response from Troup.
I don't look on purpose. You what? I don't look on purpose. Yeah. Good job.
There has not been a single smile between those two in this entire match.
Or much dialogue for that matter, because
No.
Tommy's normally very vocal.
But look at that.
Well, I think they know how serious it is that Europe are building up some momentum. And they don't want to go in at 8-6 at the end of the evening, I can tell you, or the day session.
Well, Svensson's back on track. So Europe remain in front. But this is going to be one of those nail biters again, you get the feeling.
Not sure the crowd can take too many more close matches. I think 2 one-pin games, a roll-off, a double roll-off.
I'll tell you, this is really very, very tense. It's amazing how the atmosphere has changed over the course of this afternoon. I mean, if you didn't know, you'd think that Jones and Troup actually have a problem between themselves. They don't, but they are just both sat there stony-faced. This is must-win for these two. Well, he'll just go and sit back down. There might be a nice job from Troup, and no more than that. Yeah, that's it. Nothing to talk about, nothing to discuss.
Yeah, both players absolutely in the zone. And also shows that they're very comfortable on the lane, that they're not having to share any ideas. They both know what they have to do. All they're focusing on is execution now.
That puts a lot of pressure on the Europeans. Barret has to strike to keep them in front. And doesn't.
Wow, he got that way out to the right. Yeah, he knew he got... That wasn't a great shot there by Dom. He got away too far to the right of his target. You see there, look how close he's going to get to the gutter. Oh. Just, yeah, fortunately the bowling ball couldn't make its way to the pocket. But yeah, I think he's pretty chuffed. He only got 9 there.
Yeah.
That could have been a lot worse.
So leaves the 2-pin standing. Which is sent on its way by Svensson.
And next, surprise, a tie ball game again.
Well.
There's absolutely nothing separating these two teams. They are so evenly matched, it's incredible.
Well, for the 3rd match in a row, the Europeans won the first by 1 pin. The second, a double roll-off. Here we are, dead level again. Who knows what's going to come next?
I mean, this could be Tommy Jones' worst nightmare, having to go.
Really?
Perhaps strike or to win or tie again at the end of this match.
Oh, that could be a key moment right there.
And that's the shot with that urethane ball, that ring 10. That's the one that they risk. You see that just not the ball doesn't have enough angle, it just deflects and you get that ring 10. Even with all those revs and all that power, just. I mean, could we imagine Barret and Tommy going into the 10th frame again?
Jones has to take care of this single pin. But that's now Team Europe in charge of their own destiny again. Now, remember, Barrett's last shot was not his best.
And you know what's always a good way to judge about how important a strike is watching the player's reaction afterwards. You strike in the first frame, it's pretty subdued. Remember Martin Larson, that reaction we got from him.
Oh, it's missed the 10 by a whisker. My goodness, we are dead level again, assuming Svensson takes care of the 10, but how did that stand up?
I mean, this is the bowling gods version of Siamese twins. We just cannot separate these two teams.
And I tell you, that is 1 millimetre away from being a strike. Well, as you said earlier, this is no time for open frames. Once again, we're level going into the 9th.
I mean, I'm almost too nervous to take a breath.
I was just about to say, this is, you got to tough it out in this situation, just as a fan, never mind as a player. I think everyone's really feeling this.
Yeah, the guys are definitely going to deserve the break. But Carl with another chance.
I tell you, I don't know if they have a darkened room in the back of this place, but Tommy Jones will want to go and lie in it for a while at the end of this, whatever the result. That's a really big ball from Troup, isn't it?
But the bad news for Tommy now is he has to stand up in the 10th frame and deliver.
Well, what this does do is force Europe to strike next. And Dom Barret has failed to strike in his last 2 at-bats. Huge pressure on the European skipper here. And that was a shocker. Lost it completely. And I think that's the match gone.
Yeah, I think he's just blown it. There was that ball is an absolute result from the frame before where he lost it too far to the right. You can see now it doesn't get anywhere near to the gutter. That ball. And this was a very difficult spare for a left-hander to make. A right-hander, that's quite makeable because you can hook it in. But a left-hander, this was extremely difficult. And his speed there was, we got the stats from Spectre, and it was much slower than the previous ball.
Jesper's looking at that like, well,
he doesn't.
yeah.
He would never have seen it look like this for a left-hander. I wonder if he'll back it up.
This is just throw it and hope for the best, isn't it? Well, you can see what he was trying to do, just chip that lead of the 3 over there. Didn't miss by much, but that is enough. And that takes all the pressure off, and the world will seem a happier place once again for Tommy Jones right now.
Exactly, the nightmare scenario turns into a dream scenario now. I mean, literally, barring a disaster, we can get home a point here for USA.
Well, he hasn't bowled a bad ball, has he, in these 3 matches? He's just been on the wrong end of a couple of real close ones. But now he's got a chance to just shut the door firmly. And if he does get a strike, it'll be very interesting to see what his reaction is.
Bang, bang, let's go.
Oh, how much did he want that one? Tommy Jones for the win. But that was a dream scenario there for Tommy Jones, only really needing a high count to win that match. And that's Dom just filling the last frame for the guys. Unfortunately, no chance for him to win.
Well, that's just stopped the European bandwagon from building up too much steam. Well, it all fell apart pretty horribly at the business end of that one for Team Europe, and it was Dom Barret who opened the door for the Americans, and suddenly they've just snuffed out that revival and won this one pretty handily. 255-220, back in complete control of this year's Weber Cup.
Welcome back to the 19th Weber Cup, where Tommy Jones and Kyle Troup have just notched up another victory for Team USA. Coming next, the in-form Anthony Simonsen looks to make it 3 singles wins in a row against the 2-time Weber Cup winner Jesper Svensson.
We have a lot of faith in each other, and yeah, I mean, we always have a good time together out there, even though we were down now, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've got good team chemistry. Me and Kyle room together quite a bit in and outside of the States. Barnes and Tommy have been really good friends forever. I've known both of them for quite a while now, so I think our team chemistry is not as strong as Europe's, but, you know, it's better than it has been in years past.
Commentary from Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Svensson will be thinking, I'm overdue here. Well, yet again, we have a corner pin standing.
Yeah, I was going to say, guess what? It's that 7-pin again. So can only settle for a spare.
The way Simonson's been bowling, I mean, a couple of those and it's game over. He's got one early. So his max is now 289.
Of course, Nick, the other interesting thing is that then we move on to the next session, session 3. It's Chris Barnes, the American captain, that has choice of lane pattern.
Yeah, this really was a session that they had to win, the Europeans, you feel. They've lost it. Even if Svensson wins this one, they'll have lost it 4-3. And you would suspect the way the Americans have been playing as Simonsen opens up inevitably with a strike. Wouldn't be a surprise to see another long lane pattern called by Chris Barnes when they come out tonight. It certainly favoured them strongly last night. And Simonsen just, you know, the only thing that's bothering him is his hamstring, his back, all those hours cooped up on a plane. But when he steps up, he has looked absolutely sensational. In fact, his worst performance was in the very first match in the Baker game when he bowled 2 frames. And one of those was an open, and we just thought, hello, maybe the stage is going to be a bit big for him. Once again, it's the approach, not for the first time. Yes, for Svensson, he's clearly having some sort of issue with his approach. This is the 4th time this has happened now.
Yeah, it's certainly something to do with his sliding shoe, isn't it? Which he's cleaning off now. Now, whether that's something to do with the humidity in this building or not, I don't know, but there it is, the stick and the hop. Of course, that throws the ball totally off because the approach is wrong, the delivery is wrong, and unfortunately the result is also wrong.
Well, I'm going to ask a stupid question. Does he need to change his footwear? I mean, is there an actual problem with the shoes?
There is changeable soles, so if he feels as though he's got a problem, he can certainly do that. But it's only happened sort of one time in this particular game. It happened once before, but
and it happened twice yesterday.
Yeah, he doesn't seem over bothered about it. I mean, he just likes to clean the sole off and maybe think that's going to answer it. But oh, this man is so hot. Straight back into where he finished in the last game.
Yeah, with a double. You know, just look at that score. The maximum already for Svensson is 268. Simonsen bowled 278, 276 against him already. I mean, there is a chance that this one's already over because of that open frame. I mean, unless there's a complete medical breakdown, that's the only thing that's going to get Anthony Simonsen at the moment, because he's got the lane worked out.
Yeah, a little bit of hamstring problem there, perhaps, but he's so hot, it doesn't seem to be making that much odds.
Well, it's taken. The messenger took a little while getting over there. That just helps keep him in touch here. No more than that.
Well, as you say, Nick, yes, even if he strikes all the way off, he's still only 268, which may not be enough.
That may not be enough. It wouldn't have been in the last 2 matches that the two have gone head-to-head.
That was a pretty fortunate strike for Svensson, but he'll take it and hopefully double up on it.
But that is the problem when you're playing Anthony Simonsen. You've got absolutely no margin for error at all. He's looking to open up with a 3-batter. Just look at the work that ball did on the back end.
He's thrown that ball so wide to the outside. Look, it gets right out almost to the second ball, but comes back and flushes the pocket, carries all 10. Really is a wide angle, almost coast to coast. He's throwing it out through 4th arrow, making the outside boards and just ripping the rack, carrying everything. Big pressure on Svensson here. He's got 1 strike, he needs to double up, but at the moment he's a long way behind.
Yeah, and we've had a bit of everything. Open, spare and strike so far. Well, there's a double. So he's recovering as we expected, but a lot of damage was done in those first 2 frames.
I mean, to catch up, he's got to rely on Simonsen doing something wrong. And then he's got to keep striking himself. Difficult one to pick, but the American's got the lead, and I'm sure he's going to want to hang on to it.
Oh, he's a beast. He is a monster.
It's very exciting to watch, I must admit. To see that ball go down and the route that it's taken to the pocket consistently. Speed is good, the accuracy is good, and it's the repeatability that is the turning factor here.
I'm not sure there is anybody on the European side that would want to go head-to-head with this man right now, the way he is bowling. And the demeanour as well.
Just looks so calm, doesn't he? Not under stress at all.
And talking about stress.
Yeah, that's pretty stressful, I'm afraid. A combination spare we call the bucket on the right-hand side of the lane.
That ball met with complete silence in this arena.
It's got to cover that back pin, the 9-pin. It is a very makeable spare for the left-hander. Doesn't like it at all, but he's made it now.
I think he doesn't like the fact that he's left another spare. I think that's the problem. That he's pitching a 254 maximum here if he strikes out, and that's not going to be enough to beat Simonsen. This is done.
I thought he may have had another shoe slide problem there, the way he turned around. He certainly didn't see the spare get converted. And now they're discussing with the team. I mean, Stu Williams doesn't look so happy. They can only give you words of advice. They can't bowl the ball for you.
And you can't do anything about the other guy who got some incredible pin action off the back end of that one. Now, that certainly wasn't his best ball, and he's a little bit fortunate. Look how wide he's gone on that one, and just look at where it's travelled into the head pin.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup and match 14, where Jesper Svensson currently trails Anthony Simonsen in their singles encounter.
I think Jesper is just happy to be back on strike. There's nothing he can do in this situation at all except hope that something happens here with Simonsen. I'll be interested, as we take another look at this, I'll be very interested to see Simonsen's next ball, because he got away with the last one.
Yes, you're right. Whether he makes any adjustment or not, or I don't know, but he may just want to increase that speed a little bit. Certainly hasn't changed the ball, which has worked well for him.
It was a much cleaner shot, wasn't it? That was never in doubt.
Back in business. It's just an amazing ball, isn't it? Just carries everything. Fantastic.
That's as good a ball as we've seen in this entire Weber Cup. Coming off the back of a slightly streaky one as well. I mean, that's a real sickener from the European perspective, and Svensson just trying to string some strikes together in the hope that Simonsen lets him back in, but there is precious little evidence of that happening.
There's the change of ball. That one's going back in the bag, never to be seen again.
That might end up in the car park.
Well, he's made 4 strikes, but unfortunately an open frame and a low spare count hasn't done his cause very much good, but this is the red-hot man at the moment.
Right, time to jinx things. Could we be looking at a 300 game here?
Oh, Nick Halling, what have you said?
Well, even we can't stop him.
Yeah, still looking at 300 maximum. I think Chris Barnes might have just told him, yeah, game's over, just go for it now. Difficult to sort of commentate really on these strikes because they're all very similar, apart from that very lucky one he had. But guys that shoot 300 games usually have one lucky strike somewhere in there. Svensson back 3 strikes in a row.
That's turkey for Svensson for anybody who's still counting. Jesper isn't. Jesper knows this one's got away again. 3 out of 3. He's ending up on the losing side against Anthony Simonsen. And that's going to give Dom Barret a little bit of a headache because he's used to putting him number 3 in the rotation and number 7 in the rotation. And Barnes is matching that with his trump card. So Barret now has to think about where he's going to play Svensson going forward.
Yeah, difficult decisions for the European captain.
Well, there goes the 300.
I blame you, Nick. But the most important thing is the point. He'd much rather have the point than the 300 game.
Oh, come on, he wanted the 300.
No, he's had them before, come on. Can only be a 9 spare.
Well, after the optimism of that revival, the Europeans are going to lose this session the way they lost the Friday night session, 5-2. Well, that was a bit of a horror show. It started and ended with a win, and it was misery in the middle. Here, there's been a lot more promise, but the net result is going to be the same, and the gap is going to be 6 points, and the Americans will be more than halfway to the finish line.
Ironically, after 3 strikes in a row, Jesper Svensson rings a 7-pin. Just when he thought he was getting back onto ahead of the carry contest, he's cut short again by the old 7-pin.
It will be very interesting to look at what changes, if any, Barret makes for his lineup this evening. I mean, this is just, you know, wave the white flag, get me out of here. And Barret has got some serious thinking to do. This is as big a challenge to his captaincy of Team Europe that any of us can remember, quite frankly.
Thinking back for the last couple of years, this is Svensson's lowest game of all that I can possibly remember.
Has he cracked under pressure?
No, I don't think so. He's just had 1 or 2 little incidents that hasn't gone right for him.
But what can he do? Simonson's bowled a 278 against him. He's followed that up with a 276, and he's on course for a 280 something here. I mean, you can't beat somebody that's putting up scores like that. There's just nothing you can do. Nobody can. I mean, there's been talk all weekend we're going to be picking an MVP of the competition. There's only one candidate right now.
Absolutely, Nick, yes.
I mean, it takes something special to stand out head and shoulders above everybody else in a field as talented as this. But Anthony Simonsen is doing that.
Because he's averaging 270 every game. Which is
ridiculous,
crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous. 222 is how Simonsen finishes, which this man beat after 8 frames.
Strike for 289, and the crowd will really appreciate what he's just done.
Oh, he doesn't get it.
No. So he's going to be 278 with the spare and the victory.
So, a 278, a 276, and now a 278 again in 3 matches against Jesper Svensson. The Americans running the show at the moment. 10-4 they lead.
Hannah is now talking to the US captain Chris Barnes and the man of the moment, Anthony Simonsen.
Having a good time. For us to win, we're going to have to beat the best guy on the team, and so far we're off to a good start.
And Chris, how impressed with you are you by Anthony on his debut?
Well, I've been impressed with Anthony for a long time, but nobody in the world is hotter than he is right now. Just won in Singapore. He's bowling everywhere. He's bowling often, and he's proven it in the last few days that nobody's bowling better than he is right now.
We haven't seen much of you yet here today. Hopefully that'll be changing this evening. But your team are doing a great job out here so far, a commanding lead. I mean, I suppose in a lot of ways you couldn't have wanted more out of the first 2 sessions.
No, we talked about it this morning. We just want to win every session, and then after that 3-0 start, you start thinking, well, hey, we could really put a big one, and then the Euros, they are who they are, and there's a reason why they've been champions the last 5 years. They came back, and it looked like we'd be lucky to even survive 1 point this session, but KT and TJ, they both bowled a great game, and then Anthony put the finishing touches on. He's been dominant.
He really has. Where do you think it's going wrong for the European team?
I think we've kept a lot of pressure on them, for one, and momentum's really funny in this thing, and so they haven't got a lot of free shots, and we haven't let them off the hook too much.
Momentum back with the Americans at the end of session 2 as they chase their first victory at the Weber in 6 years.